The Musar movement is a Jewish ethical, educational and cultural movement that developed in the 19th century in Eastern Europe, particularly among Orthodox Lithuanian Jews. The Hebrew term Musar is from the Book of Proverbs chapter 1 verse 2, meaning moral conduct, instruction or discipline. The term was used by the Musar movement to refer to efforts to further an ethical and spiritual discipline. The Musar movement made significant contributions to Musar literature and Jewish ethics. Origin: the Musar movement arose among the non-Hasidic Orthodox Lithuanian Jews as a response to the social changes brought about by the Enlightenment, and the corresponding Haskalah movement among many European Jews. In this period of history, anti-Semitism, the assimilation of many Jews into Christianity, and the impoverished living conditions of many Jews in the Pale of Settlement caused severe tension and disappointment. Many of the institutions of Lithuanian Jewry were beginning to break up. Religious Jews feared that their way of life was slipping away from them. Observance of traditional Jewish law and custom was on the decline, and even those who remained loyal to the tradition were losing their emotional connection to its inner meaning and ethical core. Early leaders. The movement's founding is attributed to Rabbi Yisrael Lipkin Salanter, although the roots of the movements drew on ideas previously expressed in classical Musar literature. Prior to the founding of the Musar movement, Musar was a practice of the solitary seeker. Thanks to Salanter, it became the basis for a popular social, spiritual movement. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter Yisrael Lipkin Salanter, a promising young rabbi with exceptional knowledge of Jewish law living in Salante, Lithuania, was initially inspired to dedicate his life to the cause of spreading Musar by his teacher Rabbi Yosef Zundel Salant. Zundel Salant was a student of Rabbis Chaim Volozhin and Akiva Eiger, whose profoundly good-hearted and humble behavior and simple lifestyle attracted Yisrael Salanter's interest. Zundel Salant was said to urge Salanter to focus on Musar. Widely recognized as a rabbi of exceptional talent, Yisrael Salanter became head of a yeshiva in Vilna, where he quickly became well known in the community for his scholarship. He soon resigned this post to open up his own yeshiva, at which he emphasized moral teachings based on the ethics taught in traditional Jewish rabbinic works, especially Musar literature. Salanter referred to his approach as the Musar approach, using the Hebrew word for ethical discipline or correction. In seeking to encourage the study of Musar literature, Salanter had 3 works of Musar literature republished in Vilna: Mezilat Yesharim by Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, Tikkun Midlot HaNefesh by Solomon ibn Gabiral, and Chesbon HaNefesh by Menahem Mendel Lefin. He particularly concentrated on teaching Jewish business ethics, saying that just as one checks carefully to make sure his food is kosher, so too should one check to see if his money is earned in a kosher fashion. Rabbi Salanter set an example for the Lithuanian Jewish community during the cholera epidemic of 1848. Ensuring that necessary relief work on Shabbat for Jews was done by Jews, and ordering Jews whose lives were in danger to eat rather than fast on the fast day of Yom Kippur. In 1848, the Tsarist government created the Vilna Rabbinical School and Teachers Seminary. Salanter was identified as a candidate to teach at the school, but he refused the position and, fearing backlash, left Vilna. Salanter moved to Kovna, where he established a Musar-focused yeshiva at the Neviozar Klois, with a student body of approximately 150 students. In 1857 he moved to Germany. By this time his own students from Kovna had begun to set up to their own yeshivot in Kelm, Tels, and elsewhere. Salanter later helped to found another institution, the Kovna Kollel. In Germany, Salanter founded a periodical entitled Tevunah, dedicated in part to Musar. Many of Rabbi Salanter's articles from Tevunah were collected and published in Imre Bina. His Igrat HaMusar was first published in 1858 and then repeatedly thereafter. Many of his letters were published in Or Yisrael in 1890. Many of his discourses were published in even Yisrael. Salanter also wrote an essay on the topic of reinforcing those who learn our Holy Torah, published in a collection of essays entitled Dtz Peri. This essay is important for its exploration of the concept of the subconscious, well before the concept was popularized by Sigmund Freud. In Salanter's essay, the concept of conscious and subconscious processes and the role they play in the psychological, emotional and moral functioning of man is developed. Salanter explains that it is critical for a person to recognize what his subconscious motivations, negiot, are and to work on understanding them. He also teaches that the time for a person to work on mastering subconscious impulses was during times of emotional quiet, when a person is more in control of his thoughts and feelings. Salanter stresses that when a person is in the middle of an acute emotional response to an event, he is not necessarily in control of his thoughts and faculties and will not have access to the calming perspectives necessary to allow his conscious mind to intercede. Scholar Hillel Goldberg and others have described Salanter as a psychologist, as well as a moralist. Second generation after Salanter's death, the Musar movement was led by his disciples, who taught, published his work, and were rabbis in leading cities. His eldest disciple, Rabbi Simcha Zissel Ziv, directed Yeshiva Sinkelman Grobin. Rabbi Yitzchak Blazer became the chief rabbi of St. Petersburg in 1861–2, and later led the Kovner Kollel. Rabbi Blazer also published many of Salanter's writings. A third leading disciple of Salanter, Rabbi Naftali Amsterdam, became the chief rabbi of Helsinki. Third generation. In the following generation, leaders of the Musar movement included Zissel's student Nosson Tzvi Finkel of Slobodka, and Rabbi Yosef Yozel Horwitz of Novorodok. The schools founded by these two men became the largest and most influential schools of Musar. The Slobodka school founded by Finkel became especially influential, but the Novorodok school also gained a significant following. Louis Jacobs has described the difference between these two schools as follows. In Slobodka they taught, man is so great, how can he sin? In Novorodok they taught, man is so small, how dare he sin? Controversy. In later years some opposition to the Musar movement developed in large segments of the Orthodox community. Many opposed the new educational system that Yisrael Salanter set up, and others charged that deviations from traditional methods would lead to assimilation no less surely than the path of classic German Reform Judaism. In 1897, Eliezer Gordon of the Tel Yeshiva hired a new Musar supervisor, Rabbi Leib Kazman, who instituted a very strict Musar regime in the yeshiva. Many of the students opposed this approach, which caused dissent among the student body. At the same time, dissent against Musar also broke out at the Slobodka Yeshiva. A group of Lithuanian rabbis then published a declaration in the Hebrew newspaper Hamelitz in opposition to the study of Musar. According to the YIVO Encyclopedia, they argued that while the study of moral texts was a venerable if distinctly limited element of Torah study, the sainted Salanter himself surely had no intention of overturning traditional priorities and certainly not of creating a new sect that was, itself contributing to that collapse of traditional Jewish life which it claimed to combat. This set in motion a wave of similar declarations, counter-declarations, and polemics for and against Musar in the Hebrew press which reverberated throughout traditional circles. Eventually a sort of equilibrium emerged, with Musar remaining a feature of many yeshivas and its most heartfelt advocates and opponents finding for themselves distinct but congenial venues, study and practice. The Musar Institute website explains that Musar is a path of contemplative practices and exercises that have evolved over the past 1,000 years to help an individual soul to pinpoint and then to break through the barriers that surround and obstruct the flow of inner light in our lives. Musar is a treasury of techniques and understandings that offers immensely valuable guidance for the journey of our lives. The goal of Musar practice is to release the light of holiness that lives within the soul. The roots of all of our thoughts and actions can be traced to the depths of the soul, beyond the reach of the light of consciousness. And so the methods Musar provides include meditations, guided contemplations, exercises and chants that are all intended to penetrate down to the darkness of the subconscious, to bring about change right at the root of our nature. Musar practices include text study, meditation, silence and retreat, diary practices, chanting, contemplations, visualization, and doing actions on behalf of others. One of the central practices of the Musar movement was studying and meditating on classical Musar literature. Classics of Musar literature which were greatly valued by the Musar movement included Chovot Halevet by Rabbi Bahya ibn Pakuda, Milot Hamidot by Rabbi Yehiel ben Yekutil Anav of Rome, Kard Hakma by Rabbi Bahya ben Asher, a Spanish Kabbalist, Mesillat Yesharim, and Derech Hashem by Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, Orkot Zardakim by an anonymous author, Tomer Devorah by Rabbi Moses ben Jacob Cordovero, Sha'arei Teshuvah by Rabbi Yonah Gerendi, Hilchot Deot by Maimonides, The 8 Chapters by Maimonides, Madregat Hayadam by Rabbi Yosef Yozel Horwitz, Cheshbon HaNefesh by Rabbi Menahem Mendel Lefin of Satanov, the Musar letter of the Vilna Gaon. Salanta recommended studying Musar literature in a group. In one passage he spoke of meeting for study on the Sabbath. The busy man does evil wherever he turns. His business doing badly, his mind and strength become confounded and subject to the fetters of care and confusion. Therefore appoint a time on the holy Sabbath to gather together at a fixed hour the notables of the city, whom many will follow, for the study of morals. Speak quietly and deliberately without joking or irony, estimate the good traits of man and his faults, how he should be castigated to turn away from the latter and strengthen the former. Do not decide matters at a single glance, divide the good work among you, not taking up much time, not putting on too heavy a burden. Little by little, much will be gathered. In the quiet of reflection, in reasonable deliberation, each will strengthen his fellow and cure the foolishness of his heart and eliminate his lazy habits. After World War II, many of the Jews involved in the Musar movement were killed in the show. Hillel Goldberg has written that it was only before World War II that Musar was still a living community. Some students of the Musar movement, however, settled in the land of Israel and established Musar yeshivas there, while many former students of the Musar movement settled in the United States and were involved in a variety of Jewish institutions. They established few formal institutions dedicated to Musar during the 20th century. Many traditional yeshivas throughout the world, however, continued to allot some time during the week for Musar, and this continues today. This time is often dedicated to the study of Musar literature. 21st century revival. At the start of the 21st century, a significant revival of interest in the Musar movement has occurred in North America in various sectors of the Jewish world. Within the Orthodox community, the Eish Day Society, founded by Rabbi Misha Berger, and the Salank Foundation, founded by Rabbi Zvi Miller, are organizations which organize Musar groups, classes and other teaching events. Eliakim Krumbein and Avi Fertig are Orthodox rabbis who have also published books which teach Musar from an Orthodox perspective. To the surprise of some, much of the contemporary revival of Musar has taken place among non-Orthodox Jews. The Musar Institute, founded by Alan Moranis, and the Musar Leadership Program, founded by Rabbi Ira F. Stone, are among the institutions which have sought to spread the practice of Musar in a non-Orthodox framework. Moranis' book Everyday Holiness and Stone's book A Responsible Life have been among the popular books which have sparked contemporary interest in the Musar movement. Musar has been described as an emerging and growing phenomenon within Reform Judaism, and leaders of conservative Judaism have debated whether Musar should stand at the center of its approach. Jeffrey Clausen of Elon University has argued that the Musar movement's conception of Jewish practice is especially valuable for conservative Judaism. Some Musar groups have no connection with synagogues, but a number of synagogues have started programs for the study of Musar. For example, at Temple Chai in Chicago, Illinois, a program known as the Sunday School for Grown-ups has focused on the study of a different character trait each week. There are also online communities dedicated to the exploration of Musar and character trait development. For example, Madriga.com, which was founded in March 2009, is a community which encourages members to share teachings, ideas and learnings about their own personal Musar practice. Musar practice has been incorporated into the curriculum at Jewish day schools such as the Gan Academy and at rabbinical schools such as the Academy for Jewish Religion and the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College. Some teachers have recommended the practice of Musar not only for Jews but also among non-Jews. As the website of the Musar Institute explains, the Orthodox Jewish community spawned Musar to help people overcome the inner obstacles that hinder them from living up to the laws and commandments, the mitzvot, that form the code of life. That community tends to see Musar as inseparable from its own beliefs and practices, but the human reality Musar addresses is actually universal, and the gifts it offers can be used by all people. English language bibliography. About the 19th century Musar movement, Rabbi Israel Salanter, and the Musar movement, Emmanuel Etkes. The Musar Movement, Volume 1, Rabbi Dov Katz. The Fire Within. The Living Heritage of the Musar Movement, Hillel Goldberg. Sparks of Musar. A Treasury of the Words and Deeds of the Musar Greats, Chaim Ephraim Zaitchik. Rabbi Israel Salanter. Religious Ethical Thinker, Menachem G. Glenn. Contemporary Works Adapting the Musar Movement's Teachings, The Book of Jewish Values, Joseph Telushkin, Bell Tower, 2000. Climbing Jacob's Ladder. One Man's Rediscovery of a Jewish Spiritual Tradition, Alan Moranis, Broadway Books, 2002. A Responsible Life. The Spiritual Path of Musar, Ira F. Stone, Aviv Press, 2006. Everyday Holiness. The Jewish Spiritual Path of Musar, Alan Moranis, Trumpeter Books, 2007. The Handbook to Jewish Spiritual Renewal. A Path of Musar Transformation for the Modern Jew, Rabbi Arthur Siegel, Amazon Books, 2009. Everyday, Holy Day. 365 Days of Teachings and Practices from the Jewish Tradition of Musar, Alan Moranis, Trumpeter Books, 2010.